Howdy, y'all. Welcome back, all you horror homies. I'm DBZALLSTAR, also known as Steve, and for this entry, we are going to talk briefly about Candyman, both the original and the remake from 2021, originally set to be released in 2020 prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, I have a little bit of a history with Candyman being one of the first major film franchises in horror to be welcomed into my purview, into what was at one point a very small group of horror films that I had seen due to growing up in a somewhat conservative household and my parents not being big into horror. So Candyman, alongside the Scream films, alongside Halloween, Night of the Living Dead, and select others, Candyman happened to be one of the first horror films that I encountered, and even back then, it evoked a set of emotions from me that to this day, I still feel every time I watch. So it deals with, for those who haven't seen it, a woman named Helen Lyle investigating this older housing complex in which crime is rampant, in which people who are less fortunate and are forced to find some way to house themselves are in this complex. People have gone missing over the years, people have been murdered, and there is this urban legend of an entity. So Helen meets several times with this single mother and her child to find out what the real deal is, what's behind all of this mystery, all of this fear, and she starts receiving visions of this man with a hook for his right hand. And along the way, you start to hear Tony Todd's voice emanate from this presence. You start to see that once this entity's name is called 5 times, he can come to claim not only your life, but potentially your very soul. You learn the devastating backstory behind this character and find that he's more tragic than people have been led to believe. This film deals with a lot of thoughts and feelings surrounding racism, how even to this day, even if not physically, but people are segregated from others based off of one aspect of their personage. Not being seen as a person, just being seen by that one aspect. So if you are easily offended by films that depict racist connotations and talk about the horrors that some people have gone through just because of them being considered less than or different by society, this film's not for you. But if you're willing to sit back and look beyond the horror and look beyond just that part of the message and instead see that this film is about what can happen if we don't change and start treating people based off of their behaviors instead of just one aspect of their personage, be it their ethnicity, their religion, things that they don't necessarily have any control over. This film speaks volumes surrounding what could potentially end up happening, not in the horror aspects, but in how society degrades and how if we don't learn from our mistakes in history, then horrible things do happen. Does Helen learn the lesson and take it to heart in time to be able to save her life and her soul? Helen, for the record, is not a racist in this film. She is simply trying to do her job and get to the bottom of what's gone on in this particular setting. But she finds herself further and further drawn into the mystery, and she may not make it out as sane or as well as she was when she first entered into this investigation. So that's really all I'll say about the first movie, other than that Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd, everyone involved, do an absolutely spectacular job in their roles, conveying the emotion, the horror, the drama that goes into a story like this. Universal really made this something special, and Bernard Rose, wow, the direction in this film stands the test of time over 30 years later at this point. There were 2 sequels prior to the requel or revival sequel. I don't really want to talk about those because they don't have quite the impact that the original Candyman does. I'm not going to say it 5 times, not because I'm superstitious, but because that's the whole point. You don't say the name 5 times. So this is the collector's edition from Shout Screen Factory. We have 2 cuts. We have the theatrical cut and we have the unrated cut. Both are excellent. And for a long time, fans really wanted the unrated cut. Thanks to Screen Factory, we were able to get that on a Blu-ray disc, and there are plenty of special features included. I got this off of Amazon, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, because I only had a regular DVD version, and the picture quality, the sound, they're both excellent as well. Moving on to 2021's interpretation / sequel / revival, originally set for release in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It, like other films, happened to get delayed, but that delay did not cause the excitement I had going into this film to fade at all. This is directed by Nia DaCosta, who will be directing the upcoming 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Also directed the Marvel Studios' The Eternals film that I feel is underrated and deserved more screen time to properly develop, or should have been a Disney Plus series. It is produced under Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw production and features some returning characters. Virginia Madsen, I'll just spoil, is not back in this due not to anything behind the scenes that I've been able to find, but her character wasn't pertinent outside of a few references in this film. The gore years later is not something that is reduced. The tension, the emotion that goes into this film is not reduced. It deals with a young man who may or may not have ties to the first film encountering this entity. Again, the Candyman. Well, unfortunately, as he starts to research this, people start getting taken out, whether through their own horrific behaviors or their own stupidity, because that happens a lot in horror films. And he must either find a way out of what's becoming an obsession, or succumb to it and possibly lose his life, lose the love and relationship that he has with his mother, and the love and relationship he has built with his fiancée. Again, this deals with racism and discrimination. It does touch on the Black Lives Matter movement to a certain extent. If you feel uncomfortable with any of that, again, this might not be your type of movie, but if you're willing to sit back and listen and watch, you might see what deeper messages are within this film. It's absolutely fantastic. It does not skip a beat. I feel, even though the original film is the better of these two, this is just barely beneath it. Just barely. This was released on home media, and it doesn't include as many special features, but it does have a never before seen before the home media alternate ending. It does have some other special features, including more extended and deleted scenes, a look through Nia DaCosta's eyes when she was directing this film alongside Jordan Peele's production team. And wow, if you're looking for a film that really creates an impact in a somewhat modern setting, because we're still in the 2020s at this point, both these films come highly recommended. They really do. They complement each other quite well. And Tony Todd, I won't spoil his role in it. I will say he does play a role in it. And however brief his role is in it, man did not miss a beat. The great Tony Todd deserves all the praise he can possibly get, not just for his work in Candyman, but for Final Destination and so many other pieces of work that he gifted us just by his mere presence. So if you're looking for some entertaining romps with some lessons about society and to teach people to be better and to learn from the mistakes in our past, the Candyman films, at least the first film and this new revival film, are the way to go. Again, there are 2 sequels post this. They don't really have the impact. I only own those on DVD. I didn't really want to discuss those, but at some point, if you have an interest in checking those out, I'm sure you can find them on some streaming service. Remember to use justwatch.com to find out where films and television series may be available on different streaming services for streaming or for purchase. But thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe. Please feel free to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications for new content. I'm also on Facebook in the Omnibuds Cafe Collectors group as the Affirmation Administrator. I'm on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram, either as #1 Animaniac or as Animaniac. And also on TikTok. Keep forgetting to mention that, but I'm also on TikTok under #1 Animaniac. So once again, stay healthy, stay safe, stay horrific. Don't say his name 5 times, or he'll get you. He will get you. Have a great October, and be well.